E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guimwa, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guimwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Hello.
There we go. Yeah. We'll let Emerson sneak into the basement there. He's with us.
Yep. Hello.
I just want to give a shout out and thank you to everyone out there that's tuning in today. And, you know, Charlene, you were with us when we originally started. Me and you were doing shows on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And you know, Emerson, she said huh?
I said we were busy.
Yes, we were. And you know, Emerson, she let me know, she says 3 days a week with you, Jim, is all I can handle. And due to, you know, her schedule and all, she had to take a break from being with us. We're so glad that she's back with us today.
Yeah.
And we've got so much to be thankful for. We all do as we look back over the year, you know. We started out the beginning of this year with a show about don't make resolutions, make a revolution, you know, and things of that nature. We put on an entire week on that. And when we think about starting a new year, I think we really need to reflect on where we've come from and appreciate that and build on that.
Mm-hmm.
And Emerson, I know you and Ann have been through a lot this last year, and last couple of years, ever since Ann's been married to Emerson, she's been going through a lot. How about that? Will that cover everything?
I'll accept that. Yeah.
You know, ladies,
that girl saved my life, so I'm not going to
yeah,
say too much about it.
I hear you. You know, I'm going to ask you, Emerson, to share with the audience how you proposed to Ann. This was so romantic. This is, you know, the women out there are going to go, ha, and the guys are going to go, really? You know, but you got to hear this. This is a classic. I love this one here. Would you be kind enough to share it with us?
I love sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ann had a sailboat, and I was just a couple of weeks away from finalizing a divorce, and I wasn't looking for anybody, and neither was she. She actually was trying to get rid of somebody. But a friend invited me. He said, I know somebody who they have a boat, and they're going to be in the light parade, which we have every year. Would you like to just come and have some fun with a group of people decorating the boat? I said, sure. So Ann and I were introduced. She looked me up and down and she said, so, are you useful or just decorative? I said, well, I think I can be pretty useful. She said, well, do you know how to work a screwdriver at least? And I said, right-handed or left-handed? I didn't know that her whole family was left-handed. But nevertheless, she put me to work decorating. And there were about 10 other people on the boat. And over the next 2 or 3 months, I helped her with other people, always with other people, move the boat and do other things. And we talked quite a bit, but never about love or romance or marriage. That just wasn't where we were at. How many of you know what I'm talking about? You know, viewers and listeners have probably been there at one point in your life, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But one morning, I'll never forget it. I woke up and this was the thought in my mind. There are a lot of wonderful people in the world, but there's only one Annie, and she's the one I want. And so I got up, got dressed. I drove over to her studio. Ann is an artist. She started the art program at Florida State College, Kent campus here. And I asked her to sit down, which she thought was kind of weird. And I said, Annie, you don't need me, and I don't need you. And she said, yeah. I said, I feel like together we enhance each other. Will you marry me? And she looked at me and kind of squinted her eyes and said, yes. And we just celebrated a few months ago. We just celebrated our 24th anniversary.
Congratulations, my man. Congratulations.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, can you imagine a guy, looking at a girl and saying, "You don't need me, and I don't need you"?
Oh, I say this in front. I've said this in front of rooms.
Yeah.
I've said this in front of rooms, audiences all over the country over the last few years, and the guys are sitting there going, I never heard of that line. That doesn't sound that good. And the women are going, but it's not. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't something I thought about. It wasn't a scheming kind of a thing.
It just came from the heart.
It was from the heart. And it was real.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
And I have to say, because many of the viewers know that 2 years ago, Jim last year had a big health scare, which I'm sure you'll be sharing. But a couple of years ago, I had a traumatic brain injury. This was a freak accident, and Ann saved my life. She was there every single day. I mean, we were talking about. You said what are the things that you're really grateful for this year? Well, I'm eternally grateful for the life that I have with her, and I'm eternally grateful. She saved my life,
Amen.
And was every single day at the hospital, and I only know that because, I know it because, she and I have talked obviously over the last couple of years, but when I have no memory of the first 6 weeks, none.
Yeah.
Even though I was talking and making jokes and introducing my beautiful wife, introducing my beautiful daughter, but I had zero memory of it. I woke up after they did the surgery on my brain. I woke up in the rehab hospital, and that's where my memory kicks back in. Past memories, I have all of that. I just don't have that 6 weeks. And the nurses and doctors to a person were talking about. It was, and this is for everybody watching.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word isn't impressed, but it did impress them. But they knew that somebody cared and was there every single day. It wasn't a pain in their behind or trying to make them. She was just there.
Yeah.
She was there. And, that mattered to them because the people, when you're in that situation, who are taking care of you, that's their life. And and they don't just do it for the pay, it matters to them, and they take a real personal interest in a real personal. You may not feel like they're paying attention or caring for you or doing everything the way you think they ought to be, but that's their life, is changing and saving and helping and improving your life. Giving you every single thing that they can. When they see that someone from your family, somebody cares enough to be there, just to
every
be
day,
there, and isn't there to be a pain in their patootie. It's there because they care. It matters to them, and it matters, to other people too. So
sure,
I just really to everybody. I mean, I kind of jumped to the gun with that, with you asking me to do that, Jim. But I mean,
that's okay.
Being thankful for the year and gratitude. I don't walk like Long John Silver, and I don't talk like Forrest Gump, so that says a lot.
Absolutely. You know,
Thanks,
Charlene,
thanks,
it, it,
Dan.
yeah. You know, Charlene, really, I think sometimes, and in fact, I know sometimes in life like that, even though Emerson did not know he was on planet Earth for those 6 weeks, but I do believe that her presence could have been, uh, he could have felt it. Let me put it like that. What do you think?
Oh
Subconsciously.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just
and
knowing
I was
somebody's
responding to
there.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
absolutely.
wonderful love story. That's
I agree.
genuine. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful, beautiful love story.
Yeah. You
It's
know,
not, and it's not a fairy tale, folks. I mean,
oh, no.
people who are watching, hey,
Yeah.
relationships are messy things. They take work. They take
Oh,
caring.
yeah.
They take an interest. They
Sure
take
they
a
do.
commitment. They take
Mhm.
all of those things, and you know, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worth it.
It is.
Yeah, because I know
And
Ann, and we were all together, staying at Airbnb here last year, and
In Tomball,
at,
Texas.
in Tomball, Texas, with our friend Mr. Marty Haggard. We got up just to get down there. You know what I mean? But realistically, I met Ann there, and we all, like I say, we're all there at the Airbnb. Donna and me and Gaia, and Ann and Emerson, and we has had a wonderful time. We really, truly did, and got to know her because when you're living in the same house several days with people, you get to know them pretty good because that's where uh, how can I say, people just they become themselves, and you see the real them.
Mhm.
And Charlene, we want to give a shout out to you because you've reached another milestone in your
Yay.
life. And you've been working like a ladies and gentlemen, this girl has been working like a beaver trying to build a dam in the middle of a flooded
I'm glad
river.
you turned that into beaver there. I was wondering about that one.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
everybody knows that beavers build, dams in the middle of the rivers. But doing it like a flooded river, that means she's working extra hard. And you were putting in how many hours a day with your work and going to school and all.
yep.
so many, so many. I'm still in school. I'm going back in February, so I'm not
Hmm.
giving up. It's just I'm keeping on going, but it's a lot of work, especially,
Yeah.
when you're older, going back to school, trying to uh, get your, degree that you always wanted. It's a lot of work, but I'm telling you, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm making my milestones, and
Yeah.
when I look back, everything's worth it because I know
Yeah.
I'm going to be where I want to be. I'm going to get the nonprofit where I want it to be, and
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, we need to talk after the show about the
Definitely.
nonprofit because Emerson and I earlier today we were on a great call, and yeah, we're gonna talk about the nonprofit there. I need to pull up that website there, and I think people are still working on it. But HealingAcresNeverAgain.org. That is a tremendous thing that Charlene is very proud of. Uh, you're very thankful for the success of Healing Acres Never Again, and I don't think we've ever really shared your story openly like it.
Mm.
Would you be kind enough to share like how did this become from a thought to from an idea to reality, and the people along the way who saw your vision. See, that's the big thing about leadership. It's not telling people, hey, you do this. It's getting people to believe in the same principles and morals and values and ethics that you do. So
Yeah.
please go ahead.
I think it's about loving people, and it's the same story with what Emerson was saying. It's
Mm-hmm.
about caring about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically, I had a very hard life growing up. I went through sexual abuse, and throughout my lifetime, I went through sexual abuse, rape, different issues that I had to learn how to overcome. And it was very difficult, especially as a child being abused. It's you just have to relearn so many things. But when you do, you're thankful for life, and
Yeah.
you're excited about living again because you don't
Yeah.
really understand how when you're in binds like that, you just feel like life is over and you feel like you don't have anything. And for me to come through that and look back and think, I made it through that, I'm okay. It was a long healing process. So for me to go back and I look back at all the times where I didn't have anybody there, I didn't have the support that I needed. And I was so frustrated and I felt like giving up, but I didn't. And so I wanted to go back and I wanted to recreate that experience for somebody else who was going through it, who didn't quite know how to navigate. There's 1 in 6 men and 1 in 5 girls are sexually abused by the time they reach 18 years old. It's not something that we talk about a lot, and it's not something that they want to talk about a lot, but it's so important for their healing for them to be able to say, this happened to me, this was real. And having somebody to talk to and kind of, I walk them through my healing process, kind of what I did. And I had an Aunt Bella that would plant trees with me and flowers. And she always told me, you know, whenever you have a problem, you go out and you get under this tree and you talk to God. You pray about it, you know. So it was just about having that perspective. You're not alone. Get in nature, talk to yourself, journal, pray. And that's your first step. You know, when I talk about being able to talk to people, sometimes they can't talk to people, but journaling is talking to somebody. When you pray, you're talking to somebody. It's just such a healing process. So I put that together. I called it Healing Acres Never Again, because I'm never going to look back and go through any of the things that I went through before in my life. And I want to be able to encourage other people that are where I was back then, that they can do this, they can make it through, and not to give up, because so many people do. They get stuck in horrible situations, terrible things, and they need the support of somebody, just knowing somebody's there. Just like Emerson was in the hospital, I think subconsciously you knew somebody was there, somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's for Hannah. I call it Hannah for short. And part of what I do every day is I look up good things, good sayings. I write down, and then I share that with people. And, you know, that means a lot to them, just to start your day, to have that encouragement of saying, okay, there's a different perspective. And part of what we were talking about, just being thankful for what we have and how far we've come.
Oh, yeah, because the things that makes you rich is the things money cannot buy and no thief can steal. In fact, I just made that comment to a friend of mine on a text here last night, as a matter of fact. And because I tell the story, and you folks out there who follow the show in TV land, you know I grew up on a farm, and I grew up a poor boy. And I tell people, we didn't know we were poor till we went to town. But what we were so rich in, you know, was the love and blessings that we had in our home. I was very, very fortunate. The only time I got in trouble, I earned it. I'll be honest. You know, every stripe on my back from whipping, I earned it. I'm not gonna, you know, pretend I didn't. Anyway. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. But I want to say this about you, Charlene. You could correct me if I'm wrong. We first met during the pandemic when everybody was on lockdown.
Yes.
And we were Don McGrath. This is how this TV show got started, because sometimes little things, kind of like little hinges open big doors. That's exactly what happened here. Don McGrath, Bill Heinrich, and, you know, we all had a meeting with our people. Then Bill says, hey, before we do anything, let's talk about this pandemic. We got to deal with this. A lot of people are scared. And it started off between Sony and Tamara Hunter. I believe you guys know Tamara, and Tamara's a good friend of mine.
She's wonderful.
Oh yeah, she's a ball of energy.
She's
she
an
really
inspiration.
Is.
She is.
Oh yeah, we all wound up together up there in Colorado Springs at an event, and that was a lot of fun. But anyway, they were saying, yeah, we know all these speakers. Let's just put on a little show stuff, you know. Yeah, you can get on Zoom. We'd be on Facebook Live, yada, yada, yada. And Don says, Jim. I said, yeah. He says, you can host it. Oh, okay. I can do that. Because where we go somewhere, I'd be picked to be the MC or the host or whatever, you know. That way, if anybody wanted to start throwing eggs, you know. But the thing where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that really impressed me about Charlene when I heard her story, I'm sitting there and I'm going like, oh my gosh. And a lot of people had stories like that. And here I come from a very rural area, and didn't have any major issues, anything other than, getting my butt beat for being bad, doing something wrong. But the thing that really touched me about Charlene was her eyes. The light she has in her eyes when she smiles. The eyes are a reflection of the soul, the joy and the jubilee. All of the horrible things that she experienced, she let it go.
Yeah.
This is not going to define me. This is not own me. And that was where you and I just kind of like, we're all brothers and sisters by different mothers. That's the way we should look at one another. And that's exactly what we are here on this show here. We're just brothers and sisters by different mothers. And
well, Jim, sometimes you and I have talked about this so often, and I think all of our viewers know somebody like this. They've been hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever the hurt was, however extensive it was big for them.
Yeah.
And there are some people who go into lockdown. I'll never be hurt like this again.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And they lock away all of the gifts, all of the joy, all of the things that have the ability to bring them joy, bring them peace, and to change lives around them, which very few things can bring you more of a sense of joy and healing than that. They lock it away, and it's a lie. I mean, it's something that it hurts us. We're holding in the hurt.
Yeah.
And to be vulnerable isn't to be gullible. To be vulnerable isn't to be dumb and just trusting everybody who comes down the line. But to be able to be vulnerable, to be open, opens our heart and our spirit and everything about us. It opens it to the world, and now we can make that impact on the world. And what I see with Charlene this is the second time I think I've been on with you.
Yes.
But, it's that willingness to have openness and to be okay enough with ourselves that we recognize there comes a place where we recognize nobody can hurt me if I don't let them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And this isn't about how strong you are physically. This is about being okay with yourself in the midst of it and not being defined by anything that's happened to you in the past, not being limited by it, and not locking up all of the good.
Exactly.
And
I think that's always our tendency to first do.
Yeah.
Anything, we've all been through trauma. It doesn't matter to what degree, it's a big deal. Everybody's been through trauma, and that's our first reaction is shut down.
I'll never be hurt again.
Yeah. And that hurts us most of all. So, that's just being able to encourage others. Just tell yourself the truth.
It's like understanding, and it's a life lesson that just keeps going on and on, but understanding forgiveness.
Yes.
When and I'll take a real basic level. There's a real simple everyday. Somebody comes around and cuts you off in traffic, hits their brake lights, and then flies out forward, and you're just going nuts. So this.
Yes.
The thing is, you know what? 30 minutes from now, they won't even remember it happened. Are you going to carry it with you for days?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And the power that you have when you do that is astronomical. That's where the power comes in. and
It
being able
is.
to release that and move on with your life and not hold on to it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just understanding that the forgiveness, it's important, but it's more for you than it is
It
for
is
that
for
other
you.
person. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that they need to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
that other person is not sorry. I never
Mm.
got a confirmation of anything. It was my father.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what they do or what they say. It matters where your heart is.
Which and you're the one who's carrying that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to be the one to say, I let go of that. It
Yeah.
doesn't absolve anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't. It's like, no, I'm not going to carry this.
No.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of a story that I read about this, a true story. These two guys, and they were doing some work, and one of them was way off, and he had to come back and load up his truck because they're going to catch the last boat out of there. It's before Christmas. And so the first guy, he got there and he wondered, where is this guy?
Wait a
at?
minute,
And he
Jim,
kept-
are we on trucks or boats or what? I'm lost
No,
here.
we're on trucks going to get on a
Okay.
boat. And, okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm sorry about that.
Meanwhile,
Thank you.
back at the ranch.
Yeah.
Now we're on horses. Okay, I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We're going to be
Where's
riding
Bob?
camels here in a minute. But realistically, he gets there and he's waiting for the guy, trying to get in touch with the guy on the radio, and it's just too far away. He can't. And so he looks at his watch. He knows they're getting close. So anyway, he loads the guy's, the trailer he's going to hook up to with his truck to pull him on there. And so the guy finally gets there, and he was all worried about he wasn't going to be able to make it and this and that. And he says, I want to thank you for that. And the guy says, I didn't do that for you. You and I, we don't really get along that well. But he says, I did it for me because I did not want to have the reputation of abandoning you and leaving you behind. And I thought, wow, that's powerful. I like that. I really do, And because it's important, to be thankful and to let things go, because that's one of the things that Bill Heinrichs talks about in this book, The 7 Levels of Truth. I'm going to try to hold the book up without goofing up the camera here too much. The 7 Levels of Truth is that anything physical that you cannot control, let go of it. It doesn't serve you. And it's so true, because so many times we are always going to get back exactly what we are transmitting is going to be reflected back to us. So if it's negative stuff, it's going to come back negative.
Yeah.
That's that old saying, you're going to reap what you sow, whether you like it or not. and Charlene, I was going over a list here of things that people are grateful for. And, one of the things they talk about is you should make a thankful list.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And, it starts here with the question, like, why should you make a thankful list? And listing things to be thankful for, if you're really thankful, that will be almost like a never-ending scroll of things. Would you agree with that, Charlene?
Absolutely. And it's making a list is same thing as journaling. I teach a journaling class, and it keeps it in the forefront. When bad things come up, and they will, we all have stresses, we all have things happen, but if we have that list and we know what we're thankful for, it brings us back to reality. A lot of people don't have what we have: our job, our education, our health. The health is a big deal for, I know all of us know that. So a journal and list, making that list helps you remember that,
It really does. And I know, Emerson, on a previous show, you talked about the importance of writing down something, and as opposed to just typing it in on a computer or texting it in somewhere. Then what does that actually do for the person when they write it down on a piece of paper?
Just as a little backstory on it for the people who don't know. I spent most of my life and career in writing, copywriting, creating marketing, creating scripts and emails and letters and things like that. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference in typing something onto a screen, which on people do on their tablets, on their phones, on their computers, whatever, and actually physically taking a pad of paper and writing it out. And the difference is this. The difference is the textual context. And as you're writing, you're seeing it form on the page. You're feeling it in your hands. You're thinking it in your head. And then if you read it, you're hearing it with your ears.
Wow.
And all of these things are taking place. And you don't get that when you're just hunching and punching on a keyboard. Now,
Yeah.
for what I do, the hunching and punching on the keyboard is fine. But in terms of things like journaling or writing down or feeling what you're really taking into your being, what it is you're writing, write it out long. And I'll tell you this, Jim, because Jim, you were in a program that I taught for a number of years, and in on marketing strategy and copywriting, and of course the company that brought you in had their clients coming in from all over the world into that class. So, this is, I'm only sharing that so that the people watching, may think in terms of, okay, that maybe this is something that has some merit.
Yeah.
But in terms of just writing stuff out, I can hunch and punch all day long. But in terms of the journaling, like Charlene was talking about, and writing the things down that resonate in your spirit, resonate in your head, that are engaged in your mind and your spirit in terms of actually changing your life and actually helping you to recognize the things in your life. Write it out longhand. And I'll share this with you too. One of the things one of my mentors, even in marketing, said to me was years and years ago, Emerson, when you find a sales letter, now back in the day, they were like 4 to 8 pages, sometimes 12. These are long letters, right? He said, you find one that's good and you know that it's performed, write it out longhand 25 times. Just think about that. I don't know that I ever made it to 25 times, but I did write out 1 or 2 of them 10 or 12 times. But writing it out longhand, you start to feel it. You're not just reading it, you're sensing it. You're getting the rhythm of it. It's mattering to you. It's in your head, it's in your body, it's in your soul, it's there. So when you journal, I really, really, really encourage everybody.
Wow.
Journal and really drill down. I always tell people, Jim, this, go an inch wide and a mile deep and really drill down, right?
Yeah.
And you journal and you write it out longhand, and that will start to resonate and become part of who you are. It won't just be words on paper. It won't just be something nice to write.
Yeah.
It'll be a part of who you are, reminding you over and over and over again every time you read it, reminding you of the beauty of your life, the things that you can be gratitude for, the power that you have. For those of you who feel disempowered in your life, for whatever reason, to sense that, to start to feel that, and to resonate with that in a way that matters and is life-changing. So I just encourage you all.
And when you make your list, a lot of people put down things like, my family, my close friends, my, good health, etc.
Oh, yeah.
And when you write down, family, good friends, or your pets or whatever.
Pets are a big one.
There you go. Write down the why.
Yeah. It's all about the why.
Yeah, it really, truly is.
And Jim, when you're going through trauma and you can't quite conceptualize everything, I couldn't write. I had my journal, and what I would do is draw pictures and I would color them in.
Sure.
until I could get my words. And every day I would just draw something, or I'd put some song lyrics down, something. And it was just basically trying to connect with your heart, because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't always know how to get that flow going, but it
Wow.
will come if you just do something. Whether it's doodling, I colored pictures like a little kid and I colored them in. And it led to me being able to break loose. And that's how I wrote my books, is just from my journals, because
Yeah.
that just brought everything up and out of the heart.
Mhm.
And that shows you who you are, what you believe in, and what you're made of. But
Yeah.
it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. But I love that the way you talked about the journaling, and
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
professional writer.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Eh,
and what you said about drawing, professionals who are working with children who have had trauma,
Yeah.
they encourage and they kind of get them focused on drawing and writing, because children especially, they'll draw pictures that they can never say. They don't even have the words to say, or
Exactly.
it's locked away in them. But when they start drawing, it starts coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's real
it-
powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that I was going back to being a little kid. So I just
Yeah.
kind of took myself back there, and I drew myself through it. It helps you. Just as long as you're doing something, you're going to find good, and you're going to remember good things. You're going to remember the
Yeah.
flowers, being outside. You're going to
Yeah.
remember some of the kind things that people do, smiles.
Let's talk a little bit about your book. You mentioned your book. What's the title of your book? Do you have one there? You close by, you can show someone, or did you sell your last copy? I mean,
I do have it here somewhere.
That's
I've
okay.
written two. One's called I Fly, and then the other one is called The Path. And it
Oh,
basically it talks about my experience as a child, kind of growing up, how I was able to cope, and then how that coping didn't work for me, as I got to be an adult. And so I do tell my story. I tell pieces of my story in both of the books. And
yeah.
just basically how you grow in your path spiritually, mentally, and just to be able to face the horrible things that we have to go through in life. And like I said, everybody faces trauma and different levels, but I talk about the trauma that I had to face, and how I was able to come out on the other side. And I attribute a lot of mine to God. So, I just feel like he was always there, and he put the right people in my path when I needed them.
And there's no competition in that.
No.
There's no, well, that's all she went through. Well, I went through this, and there's no, holy cow, she went through that. I never had it. There's no competition. What you live with in your life is what you live with in your life. And
it's your personal journey.
It matters. It matters. It's not silly. It's not big. It's not bigger than this one or smaller than this one. It's it's your life.
It's your story.
It's your story.
And it's a healing process. It's never, I went through it and I'm healed. No, I mean, there's so many different layers that you have to go through.
Right.
And whenever you get stuck, you just go back to that journal. You go back to that doodling, and until you get the words, you get the flow to understand, what am I feeling? What am I where am I trying to go with this? And who do I want to become? You always have that power to change. If you don't like where you're at, then where is it that I want to be? And I think that's part of the New Year's coming up. It's like, okay, this is where I was last year. Where do I want to be next year? Where do I want to be 5 years from now?
And in many ways, it's like the stages of grief that you go through.
It is,
because there's hurt, there's a loss, there's the damage that's taken place, and there's these different stages that you go through, and there's guilt, and there's anger, and there's all of these different things that we deal with, and it's helpful. It's really, really, really helpful to recognize that nobody has gone through what you went through personally, but people have gone through the same process many times before you have gone through it. And there are people who are there who, like Charlene, who are there and can help guide you
Hmm.
and help show that way,
Hmm.
and not judge, and not
Not about judging
it's not
ever.
about none of those things. It's
Mm-mm.
your life, your journey, but there are people who can help you from their life and their journey
Yeah.
and help guide you in a safe and trusting way through that. And
Yeah.
well,
And
just
I like
trust.
the no judgment is so important.
Oh
Yeah.
But
gosh, yeah.
Anna, it's just so important that we don't
Yeah.
judge. I wouldn't want to be judged. I know, and I wouldn't want anybody judging them.
No.
So
Yeah.
No, no,
it's
no, no,
Yeah.
so
no.
important. Otherwise, they don't step out. And I went
Yeah.
through a lot of that where I was judged, but I just kept going.
Sure.
I went
The,
somewhere else.
the one thing we need to
Acceptance is much more powerful than judgment any day.
Oh, yeah.
Any day, any day. Judgment
And the-
is a weak place. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're a judgmental person, you know, it may feel like it's empowering, but every time you do that, it's something that is taking away your power. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
power. It's weakening. It's chipping away at you.
Yeah.
Whereas acceptance is something that's powerful because that's something that you're choosing to
Yeah.
give.
Yeah. The
And we
one
have
thing
to
that we,
accept ourselves too. You know.
Yes.
yeah.
For yourself first
Exactly.
and for others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of like when you love yourself first, then you can love others. But also,
Mhm.
too, if you give yourself grace, you can give other people grace too, because we all need grace. That is one thing that I find that's missing
Oh
with
gosh. Yes.
all of the, philosophies of life, ideologies. You can name it. They're
All the
good to a certain.
newsmakers.
Yeah. They all make it to a point, but yet one thing that they don't deliver the goods on is grace. Have mercy and grace, because who hasn't goofed up? Raise your hand,
We all
right? Who
do.
hasn't goofed up? No, but we all do. And we might think, well, I wouldn't goof up like that. Well, you may not, but you still goof up once in a while, whether you need it or not,
Well, Jim, even in marketing, you
Oh,
may remember this. I always said, you don't want everybody. What you
do I
want
remember
is
it?
to
Do I
figure out
remember
who
that?
it is you don't want
Yeah, yeah.
first, and
Yeah.
then focus on the ones that you do, because give them all of that focus instead of the ones you don't, and trying to get everything that you can in your marketing.
I like that.
You want
That's
the ones.
awesome.
You want the ones who love you, who listen to you, who do what you suggest to them to do, who forgive you when you
Uh-huh.
screw up, because we're all going to screw up.
Yeah.
And they don't go around saying, well, they should have done it right the first time. It's like they forgive you when you screw up, and they become
Yeah.
evangelists for you.
Yeah.
The
Cheerleaders,
people that
yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Those
I-
are the ones. And if somebody isn't that,
Yeah.
and this is true in your personal life, true. I didn't just come up with that from business and marketing. The two are intertwined.
Mhm.
And we have to be looking for those relationships
Yeah.
that are filling those kinds of places. And
Yeah.
we have to be that person for the people
Exactly.
in our lives as well.
I love the way you pointed out. First, you also have to know what you don't want, who
Mhm.
you're not
Yeah.
looking for,
Yeah.
because that kind of does narrow your to be able to
Yeah.
see what you do want. I love that.
That's it.
I love what
smart.
Emerson.
It's
I love-
easier. It's easier for most people to figure
Yeah.
that. Oh, I don't want this, and I don't want that, and I don't want that. It's like, okay, great. Let's just look at the ones who aren't those things.
I remember Emerson started that story with, "Hey Jim, you might remember, and I thought,
Oh,
do I remember? Let me share with you how that happened. We were all down in Largo, Florida. Emerson was on stage wearing a pirate's hat. First time I ever seen the guy on planet Earth. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting. And this is 8:30 in the morning. We had just walked in. I think I maybe had one, maybe two sips of coffee. And we're at a big U formation, with the desk guard and all the tables. And everybody's, seated around outside the square U, a rectangular U. And Emerson says, Jim, what do you want to do with your marketing? Attract as many people as you can. No, you want to repel everybody you can't help. And I looked around, everybody's looking at me, and I said, well, I guess it's obvious I need this course.
Well, everyone's seen the yin and yang, the Oriental yin and yang. And there's been lots and lots of discussion over the last 15 or 20 years about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Law of attraction.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's great. But there's a law of repulsion. And if you don't have them both working together, then you're out of balance.
Yeah.
And if you're not
So
crystal
true.
clear on who you don't want, as much as you are on and the things you don't want, not just the
Amen.
people, okay?
Amen.
Yeah.
And the things you do want, it throws it out of balance. And gosh, so many people that we know are in that out of balance place. And they're working, like we talk about workaholics. Well, workaholics are just one example of people who are just out of balance in that place.
Yeah.
Where we don't have that law of repulsion working and saying, no, you know what? I don't want that in my life. What I want is this in my life. No. I don't want that. I want this. And it really changes it all. I know there are people who are watching and go, well, okay, well, that's great. I get it. Okay. Yeah, you know what you want, know what you don't. No. Figure it out and get really clear. What do you not want? And everything that you're doing in your life or business, ask yourself, is this attracting? Is this increasing the things that I do want? And is it decreasing the things I don't? And honestly, so many, and I come back at it, Charlie, and I come back at it all the time from marketing and business. But I see companies that are just advertising things that are like throwing a wide net. And then their marketing department over here is all, they're having beer and pizza Fridays because they got in more new customers and more leads or more of this than they ever had before. And their sales departments are going, where did these people come from? Where did they Craigslist? I mean, where do they find these people? But they're not even the right people. And there's no it's so inconsistent. And salespeople go nuts over it. The marketing says, well, you need better salespeople. They need to be better closers, and it's like, it's so out of balance. But when you get in, and this is true in your personal life too.
Absolutely.
When you get in that balance and you really get clear on the things that I don't want these things in my life. Now you begin to ask yourself, is this something that is attracting that, or is it repelling that? Is it something that I'm bringing? And we all, again, I've said it, we all know people who just have serially bad relationships.
Exactly.
And sooner or later, you want to say, listen, girlfriend, or listen, boyfriend, listen, guy, look in that mirror. That's, hey, this isn't about this one and this one and this one and this one. This is about this right here.
And the guy that drinks less at the bar is not the best candidate.
Well, it's recognizing that, look, there are whatever 7 or 8 billion people in the world, and how many of them can actually be your friend? Okay, how many of them can actually be? How many of it? If you have a small business, how many of them can you actually serve? Coca-Cola can't serve them all.
Oh yeah.
Right.
McDonald's, KFC, they can't serve them all. You're not going to be able to serve them all. So, gosh, the day that becomes in your personal life, there are a gazillion people out there. The day that we really start to recognize, oh, wait a minute. It's not about, I got to keep going, find them. It's like I stop that and I start looking at my life, my business, the people that matter.
Exactly.
Right? And now I start putting the focus there.
Yeah.
Guess what? All those other people, they start, man, she blows. I don't need what she's got. What is she talking about? She's nuts. Oh, come on. It's like all of a sudden those things start to repel those people. and the people that we are looking to include start being attracted. And all of a sudden, it's like the sea is opened up and it's clear.
Yeah.
And all that time, effort, energy, and focus, all of those things start to drift away.
I know of one lady, and I still know her. You know, she became a mother hen to her clients, and because when she first got started, she wanted to just be their all in all, everything. And then one day she called me. She was complaining. That's what's going on. And she says, "I feel like I'm an office worker for all of my clients, because anytime that they had a question, they would just send her a text, and she'd do the work and then send them the answer."
Oh,
And I'm thinking, well, you know, you kind of brought that on yourself. You're going to have to start waning away from people. She said, well, how do I do that? I said, well, my recommendation to you is to start out, what are you willing to give? And just be open and honest. Just say, you know, my business has grown so much. I've got so many clients coming at me. I can only offer you this much within your parameters. What you're good at, you know, what you don't have to go on. Okay, let's see. Where did I put that stuff? Let's see. I got that in a folder somewhere, you know, because she became, you know, just a slave to her business like that. And that's what happens whenever you don't set those parameters and have the courage to say no, you know.
yeah.
I like the story you tell, Emerson, about this one person, or maybe it's a company, I don't remember which, but you knew you were not a good fit for them, and you referred them to somebody else, and it was a win-win-win situation.
Oh, yeah.
For everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, they sent a check in the mail to lock in the contract, and I was like, you know, no, this isn't going to work. This isn't right. It's not about you. It's about me, and I get it. You know, but being able to say no is power.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm going to reach out here for just a second, Charlene. One of the most empowering, and I've read some of your story, okay?
Yeah.
And for the people who haven't, I encourage you to. But the empowering moment to be able to reach out and say no is a powerful, powerful moment. And it doesn't just stop with trauma.
No.
Being able to be in a place where we're able to say, I don't want this,
Right.
is empowering beyond measure.
We have boundaries, and we've got to keep our boundaries for ourselves and for the other people.
Yeah.
Just like for you, you're not wasting their time, and they're not wasting yours.
Good point.
And it's knowing that. And I think if they look back on that, they would appreciate you for doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly enough, it's something that Jim kind of pointed out, and I've sent checks back to people.
Yeah.
In one case, I can tell you, and I won't say the name, although 2/3 of the people listening,
I know the name. If you guys send me $20, I'll be glad to share the name.
you know, I mean, they would probably recognize the name instantly. But what was amazing is over the next 2.5 years, I think he referred over 25 high-paying clients to me.
That's awesome.
From his client base. After I had sent a check back and said, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I didn't do it in an ugly way.
No.
I didn't do it in a mean way. I didn't do it.
It was genuine, and he knew
genuine.
it. People know when you're genuine.
Yes. Yes.
They know when
exactly. Exactly.
You can't fake genuine, and we can all sense that. We can all feel it, and we know that when we're working with somebody. So I think that's a great way to build your business, and they know you know who you are, and it makes a difference. You got to know who you are and what you want to be able to help others.
Yeah. This being the last show of the year and all, I forgot to do a plug and also give out a complimentary gift here for the folks. But those you hung around till the end, this is for you. You know, when you talk about clarity and how to get your message across, The 6-minute webinar, what it actually does, Emerson's familiar with the show as Charlene.
Yeah.
It actually gets your message across to an ideal client, all within 6 minutes. We're talking about an introduction, a body, a close, a call to action.
It's a brilliant concept. It really is.
It really
It
is. And this is our complimentary gift here from the show here. You see our email there. Email our host, inspiration@e360tv.com. And, it comes into the station and the staff will get it to us. And if you'd like to get signed up for a complimentary, no cost, no strings attached, 6-minute webinar, email us and let us know, and we will get you set up in a meeting so you can have your very own 6-minute webinar at no cost to you. That's a pretty powerful way to close a show, isn't it?
It is. And, anybody who needs to make a presentation, whether it's at work or if you're speaking at a conference or convention or whatever it is that you have to do, or you're in a nonprofit and you're having to make a presentation to a board or whatever, the thing is you're thrown curveballs all the time. And even if they're going to give you 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, all of a sudden things get cut short. And you're the one person who can adapt to that. It's powerful to be able to be that one person and be able to adapt your message, be able to get it together and deliver it. And the 6-minute webinar really is a brilliant concept.
It's a great sales presentation. It's a great way to be able to communicate the nuts and bolts of what is really important. Because a lot of times we throw in all this fluff. That's just who we are. We do that. But this here cuts away all the fluff.
Especially when people get nervous.
Yeah. And this is all the bullet points, just boom, 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 where people are going, yes, okay, yes, all right, yes. And that's what you want. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone. We want to thank you on behalf of Charlene being with us. Welcome back. It's so good to have you back in the saddle with us.
Yeah.
And also to be here with Emerson and all you good folks out there in TV land. We always like to close a show by saying, remember to love yourself first. That's critical. Because if you love yourself first, then you have the capacity to love others. And if you don't have the capacity to love yourself, you don't have anything else to give others. You're running on empty right out of the gate. And as I said earlier, be sure and love yourself enough to give yourself grace and to give others grace. And most importantly, when it comes to starting out the new year, just be truthful and honest to yourself. Don't follow the crowd. If someone wants to lose 20 pounds and you outweigh them, just sala hila hola pala and good luck. And we'll see you in 3 or 4 months from now and see if you're still ahead of me or whatever. But realistically, set realistic goals. And be prepared if you make a mistake or if you don't hit your goal. Okay, it's not the end of the world. That's where the grace comes in. And we'll be back on Monday. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bless you all. On behalf of Emerson and Charlene, thank you so much. Give you guys a chance to wave goodbye as we sign off. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year, everybody.